This episode of Badass Agents Podcast is brought to you by Jason Smith team at Nova Home Loans. Jason, a Navy veteran, has been recognized as one of the top 100 loan originators in the country. There is no task too big or too small for the Jason Smith team. Every client counts. For the best rates and great service, contact Jason at 480-227-6231 or visit novahomeloans.com. I personally stand by his service, and so do thousands of satisfied clients. That's Jason Smith at Nova Home Loans, NMLS number 210839. You can impact more people when you have more finances behind you, when you feel good about things, when you have the energy and vitality to really make a ding in the world. Good morning, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, AZ Araujo, and just in time, I was literally handed my nitro coffee right here. It's in my hand. It's nice and foamy. It looks milky, but it has zero milk, and it's full of the goodness, right? The caffeine we all need to get that blood flowing, that heart thumping, right? And one of the things that Carla suggests is to start with something. To start with something that'll get you going so you're not lethargic, right? And some people say, well, coffee's not good for you. You know, all this caffeine is not good for you. And it's usually the people that are not necessarily in the best of shape. It's usually the people that are not in a position to really give advice about health, right? And, you know, we got to be aware of these things. We got to be aware of who we listen to. But I don't want to get into that conversation because I'm going to completely go off left field if I don't stay on track. And I want to talk about, you know, the purpose and getting things done, right? Getting things done and how important it is, I think, for our overall psyche and our mental health. I think that's a subject that's sometimes overlooked. Sometimes we think the cause of our ills or the ills of our lives are caused by money issues, right? Or marital issues, or, you know, kids. And that's kind of looking at things at surface level. Yeah, they might be an issue, but what stems at the root, right? And oftentimes we don't feel good about ourselves. And I'll tell you why I'm having this conversation, because it applies to your business. It applies to your overall sense of drive and intention and, yes, purpose. And I'm not talking about purpose about changing the world, right? I'm talking about a much smaller scale. And we look at the definition of purpose, it really is at a small scale, but we sometimes overrate it, right? Or over-embellish it, thinking that purpose has to be this big, magnificent thing where you're going to save millions of lives, you're going to help starving children, you're going to save every dog and cat from being, you know, put down. I'm not trying to be insensitive, right? You're going to help every homeless person. We think that that's the true cause of purpose. But I think purpose comes down to self-direction, to intention. And I think oftentimes we put a big goal in front of ourselves, like we become so passionate about these organizations, or so passionate about politics, or so passionate about religion, and you know, all these other things, because we know that's a big ship to move. But if we feel like we're doing things, then you know, we feel like we're doing something good for ourselves, when in fact we're letting our own personal lives kind of burn down. So if we start looking at all these things that you could be doing with politics, with organizations, I'm not saying don't donate your time, but some people involve themselves so much when there's very little movement of the ship, right? Because the purpose is so big that it doesn't matter what you do on a daily, it's not going to necessarily fix the problem, right? You can donate all day long. You can go, save starving children. You can go help the homeless, but it's not going to resolve anything, really, right? On the big grand scheme of things. It might help in the short term. And when I say short term, one meal or a few meals. And I'm not saying, again, we are big donation givers. We give to a lot of nonprofit organizations, but I think people misconstrued their responsibility. And they're jaded. Their mind is almost jaded and clouded, that it has to be something humongous. I have a great purpose, AZ. You know, I have to help this person or that person or this organization. I get it, but what about you? What about you? And I think people look at it, the bigger picture, so they can avoid the smaller things that they have direct control of. Understand that you have zero control of all the other things that are going on a grand scale. On a big scale. It's the little things. It's the everyday things. It's the way you wake up every morning. It's how you feel about yourself, how you treat your spouse. It's how you go about your business. That's what you have full control of. But because we want something grander, right? And we're so involved with our churches, but we're 100 pounds overweight, and we're really not getting along with our spouse, and our business is not really growing the way it should. You're struggling for money. But hey, I got to preach the word. I preach it. I believe it. And that's what it comes down to. How about you worry about yourself first and foremost, right? Worry about yourself first and foremost and get your own life in order then, right? Then be able to do it on a more powerful scale with finances behind you. You can impact more people when you have more finances behind you, when you feel good about things, when you have the energy and vitality to really make a ding in the world. But we want to skip all that. I want to go help the millions. I want to go transform the millions. Guys, purpose that's great, but that's a conditioning process, right? To impact hundreds, to impact thousands, to impact millions is a conditioning process. If you can't even impact yourself, good luck. You're clouded. You're avoiding the work because that purpose is so large, that it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like what we talked about, the white gate, right? So it's so big, people don't know if you're on track or off it. But when you focus directly on yourself, you know immediately if you're on track or not. But again, we want something big. We want big, grand ambitions, but can't take care of ourselves. I'm not necessarily talking to my wife right now, AZ. It's okay, though. I'm doing this thing for, the poor children in Africa. I'm doing that thing. I get it. Listen, again, I'm not trying to judge you on that. What I'm saying is you have a greater responsibility to make a bigger impact on the things you're passionate about. Passion and purpose are two different things. Purpose is waking up for a reason. And if we only have one life, and we were told, it was whispered into our soul that you're here for a reason, why aren't you working on that? Because we're trying to avoid the work. We're trying to avoid to really make things good for our lives. Because it's hard. And I'll tell you what, it is hard. But when we define purpose, the reason, okay, and this is what the internet says, Google says, okay, I don't know what dictionary, but it seemed good with what I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to read this definition. The reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. Purpose also means have as one's intention or objective. That means waking up every morning knowing what to do and how to do it. Having a short-term goal to go out there and get shit done, right? To go out there and really understand that there's a responsibility you have, which is to take care of your body, which is to take care of your mind, which is to take care of your family, take care of your business. Emotions. It's all these things. But if we're constantly looking that we need to do something bigger beyond that, you're always going to find yourself lacking any purpose. Because you're skipping about 100 steps there. And I started thinking about it this weekend. Last week we launched a new Do the Work Challenge. And I got to tell you, it's been a wild ride the last 48 to 72 hours. I worked through the entire weekend. I didn't complain once. I didn't think that something was being done upon me. I feel good about it. Why? Because Carla feels so good about it. Why? Because we're helping people change their lives. Much like I feel about our organization at A's and Associates. It's just a branch. What we're doing with Do the Work is just a branch of what we do here within the organization and the people I surround myself with each on a daily basis. We're just giving a little something of what we do here that is commonplace for us here and shedding it out outside the walls of A's and Associates. And people are attaching themselves to it. Why? Because something within them, a voice within them, led them here. And they've been wanting this. And some of these individuals, this is the last straw. This is the last Hail Mary. They're not in a good place mentally and emotionally, just like I wasn't, right? When my marriage wasn't in line, when I was too stuck on my vices, when I was too stuck on how important money was, it was my last draw. I was throwing a Hail Mary when I went to go seek for people to guide me, to give me some direction, to give me some perspective. And some of these individuals have tried everything. Their businesses are okay, but yet they feel depressed. They feel, just not a sense of purpose. And I started thinking to myself, I asked myself this question. I says, what causes more depression, being broke or hating how you feel? And I think hating how you feel has a bigger impact on us than being broke. Right? Because when you feel good, you're not going to be broke. You're not going to be broke financially. You're not going to be broke mentally. You're not going to be broke emotionally. When you feel good, everything starts to rise to that level because it always starts within. It's not, I'm going to make the money first, then I'll feel good. I'm going to make the money first, and then I will work on my marriage. I will make the money first, then. No, it's none of that. And after reading these notes, reading these individuals of why they came on, I realized it's greater than just materialistic things. It's within our soul. If we don't fill that void, if we don't wake up with some sort of intention and direction, we lose ourselves. Before you know it, we're in a place where we never imagined. We had so many goals and ambitions being young, but then all of a sudden we're stuck in a place where we're like, how did this, in the hell did this happen? Well, there was no clear intention. There was no clear purpose. And I think that's how we end up growing. Just the small steps every single day. And, when we launched this Do the Work Challenge, we have 120 plus people going through it right now, 120. And this was on a simple idea. And as I look at it, and as I see the people and how they're being impacted by their own work, we're not doing the work for them, they're doing the work. All we're doing is giving them direction. All we're doing is pointing in the direction. That's all I ever needed. That's all I ever asked for. I was just lost. I didn't know which way to go. Somebody just came and just said, how about you just go that way? I said, all right, I'll go that way. And I took advice from someone that was doing it the way I always imagined myself doing it, powerfully, with his wife next to him, with his kids smiling at him. That's what I wanted. So I listened to the right individuals, but it was go that way. And as I take a step back, that's exactly what our program is doing. It's just taking individuals that are listening to all that noise and just say, hey, don't even pay attention. Go that way. And they're like, oh, wow. Because as opposed to taking one step this way one day and one step that way and the next day and one step backwards the following day, what they did, when someone just simply gives you a direction, you take 3 steps forward. Now that's called progression. Because when you take it this way and you take it that way and you take it behind you, you end up in the same spot. Lost. And this program came about with a simple idea. And I want you to think about this as you're going through your own journey with your business. You may think that the failures you're facing right now are the worst thing that could happen. The financial bind, the trouble being able to fulfill for your clients because it is so tough. You start feeling bad for yourself, not realizing that you're building a lot of capacity to be able to run circles around your competition, to be able to get exactly what you want, what your clients want, what your family wants. We've had individuals call us, other trainers, right? Because Carla's not doing this full-time. We run a full-fledged operation here with A's and Associates. And they're like, how did you grow? How did you grow to 120 clients going through this process? Right? Because what's the norm? 10 or 15 per trainer? Carla, 10x that? And they're like, you're so lucky. How did you do it? Like, how did you figure out this formula? What they don't realize is that it was on the back of many dark moments in our lives. We were almost broken. We almost quit multiple times. We were slapped financially. We were banged up and bruised through what we call life. Did we see ourselves in those moments being able to put a program at this level, at this capacity, that has the potential to reach, and this is the first time that I ever seen it, it just came to me, hundreds of thousands of individuals. Hundreds of thousands. That's how impactful I believe it is. That's how powerful I think Carla is. But it didn't happen overnight. You didn't see what was behind closed doors. The dark. The pain. Many years, right? And now, because of all that, we know. We know. And it was years trying to build this brokerage. It was learning the technology and leaning in. Having the courage to hire employees. Having the courage to continue to move forward when nothing was working. Losing out. Being sued. Being audited. Failing several times. And also putting your heart and soul into things and individuals only to have it, work against you. This app that we have out, did you know we had it for over 3.5 years? No one bought into it. Even free, no one really participated. Did you know we have software and systems I've had for 5 years and never worked, never sold anything? But I planted a seed. And what I realized is I just wasn't ready for that at that moment. Because if I would have reached that success 5 years ago, I would have self-imploded. Because I hadn't learned enough. And maybe that's where you're at right now, where it's not happening to you because you're not ready. It's not against you. What I tell my daughters, right? You're not starting right now, babe, because you're not ready. You're not ready to start on your volleyball team. How about you build? How about you grow from this? How about you learn to appreciate others' hard work? And the day will come. And that's the unfortunate part. We think that we're entitled to those things right now. But the only responsibility we truly have is just to wake up with that intention, with that purpose. You have something to do right now. Or are you going to waste your day? Are you going to waste one more day? Just hoping things land on your lap. Hoping you'll be a starter when you haven't put in the necessary work. Hoping someone would fail as opposed to you rising up. Hoping someone else's demise as opposed to you growing and expanding. And those are the things that we have to think about and talk about, because intention does all those things. The work resolves all. And when we're surrounded by so many individuals within the brokerage and now do the work, it's fueling. Why? You know why I'm so thankful that I'm down this journey? Because I see individuals find their own power, and it's so wonderful to witness. It's amazing when they realize what they're made of, when they're reminded of what they have forgotten. And it's a powerful place to be, because from there, they start impacting others. It's no longer about them. The purpose now grows beyond them. But again, people want to look outside of that first before they begin with themselves. I'm seeing families transform at this very minute because one individual decided to make a decision and stick to it regardless. And they broke this chain of promises and then broken promises. They broke that dysfunctional cycle. And now they understand that when you say something, Dad, when you say something, Mom, you're going to stick to it. Now I believe you. Now I'm going to lean in. I'm proud of what we're doing. And for the first time ever, and I got chills just thinking about it. This is something that's going to impact hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, because it's going to be a domino effect. And it all started on this idea. Hey, what are we going to do next after the Ironman? And within a couple of weeks, we started our first 30-day challenge. And we literally saw people transform before us, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, all on a simple idea. Because I was surrounded by the right people asking me the right questions. What's next? What's next? Not, we're done. That was fun. Now let me go back to my old ways. And I thought I could lead this. I was like, all right, guys, I'll come up with something. And I realized I can't. I'm also a student. I cannot lead this. I'm a student. And I talked to Carla. And she said, if I do this, I need you to be all in, because you know how I work. We gathered our team. We put her plan that she's proven all these years that have worked for her. She's a specimen, an absolute specimen of the work. And we all put our trust in her. It's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. The way I feel right now. Like I lost that for a little bit. And throughout the years, I feel great, and and then I lose it a little bit. Like it's hard to explain. And sometimes we have to take the seat, right, of being led, being a student. And, it takes away all those excuses of people saying, well, I can do this on my own. Because I said I can do this all on my own for a while. No, you won't. No, you won't. And this proved it. The significant changes, the way people feel. Yeah, the people that are making so much money financially feel much more prouder of how they feel physically. And that's why I pose the question. Like, what causes more depression? What causes more anxiety? Being broke or hating how you feel? And this is proven to me. That how you feel internally, externally is so important. I'm not saying to, as a way to, be very materialistic or to just show that, your entire worth is physically. What I'm saying is purpose is within first and foremost. It's not outside of you. And some individuals think that the purpose is found in money, and it's not. It's short term, because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it within my own life. If I get this, then that. And it's not the case. And because these individuals were so committed and they trusted the process and they became students of the work, everything moving forward has changed. Everything. Added another layer to that intention and focus and purpose to their lives. It's impactful. It's generational. And because they were students, they inspired the next group that just came in. And guess what happens when you keep inspiring? It keeps growing. You cannot stop the train at that point. And it began with those individuals that leaned in. And it began with you. For having the courage to fight, not to concede, to fight when it got hard. to fight when there was no solution, to fight when it was all failure around you. What we didn't know is that it was building us. It was forging us. Now you're in a point where you're molded to lead. And this is just another layer of what we add, right? To who we are as a brokerage, to who we are as business owners, as people of God. And it's amazing. Like I'm sitting back and I'm watching it, right? As we're working through the entire weekend, and you know, we went to bed really late, woke up really early. We were just adding, and it's like so much is riding on this. So much is riding on them succeeding, and we're going to do everything possible to help them get there. But we cannot do the work for them. And you being here on this Mindset Mastery, it's a decision. It's an intention. And I'm hoping that wherever you're at, whether things are going, everything's going your way, or maybe you're just running into a few obstacles, that you remind yourself, you need this. I didn't know that going through everything I went through would lead us to this point. And this is just the beginning. I'm excited about it. I wake up and I'm taking more photos. And again, I'm not trying to be arrogant by any means. Please don't misconstrue this. And I'm taking pictures, right? I catch myself in the mirror. I'm like, oh damn. Because I remember how I felt when I avoided looking in the mirror, where I even know that my body was transforming in ways I didn't want it, that I was conceding to time, that I was conceding to temptation and mediocrity and complacency. I'm like, dude, that's not bad. Because I know I came on the back of hard work. I didn't give up. I became a student. And that's where we're at. And that's where you're at. Wherever you're at. And like I've mentioned before, we all have that stewardship to lead and to be students. To lead and to be students. So again, we onboarded, I think it was like 89, 90 individuals just this past week. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And I love the energy. And I love the fact that so many of you trusted us, right, before there was any results. And this is just the beginning. So I want to thank you guys. And I want to read a few comments here. That's the biggest satisfaction, is knowing that my kids know that anything in life is attainable with faith and commitment to the work, leading by example. And that reminded me of something, Rudy, and I'm glad you brought that up. That reminded me of something, you know, as I saw my daughter, I was so proud of her. She gets home from studying, and she comes home and she serves herself some rice, some vegetables, and some chicken. And I know all of us, just innately, we're built, it's like in our DNA to always look after our offspring, right? After our kids. And we worry so much about what we can provide them that we forget that the number one gift we can give them is to teach them how to take care of themselves. To teach them how to properly, eat and feel good about themselves mentally and physically. I think we forget those things. It's not about the nice things you can buy them. It's about what you can teach them from good behaviors. I mean, a quality of life is your number one responsibility to provide for your kids. And yet many of us screw that up. What a shame, right? Because we didn't learn. So we offset our problems that our parents didn't learn, and their parents didn't learn, and we didn't learn, so we won't teach it to our kids. Now that's called ignorance. It's called, right? Nothing else but ignorance. What a great gift. A quality of life based on how to be able to properly, give themselves the proper nutrition, the right foods that will feed them mentally and physically and emotionally. So what causes more depression? It starts within, how you feel. So let's give them that gift. So thank you for that, Rudy. We are do the work. Absolutely, Louis. Transformation, right? Kids are looking up to you. Like, it's amazing. The way you smile, there's no hiding. There's a different Louis. A Louis that has been, falling into the easy, and a Louis that has leaned into the hard. And the hard has chiseled you. It's forged you. It's molded you. Carla's just plain badass. You two are such a wonderful and powerful couple, and you guys are letting us into your world of pure bliss of what works. Great leaders, thank you. And we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And it all started with just taking care of myself first and foremost. I couldn't lead. I couldn't be in this position. I couldn't be on this podcast. I couldn't do all those things if I didn't learn how to lead myself. And you guys are all doing on that path, which is amazing. I just can only imagine where you'll be in 5 years. It's exciting. It's exciting to just, anticipate that. Understand that the work is never done. Like, I took a picture of myself and I got abs. I'm like, how in the hell did I do that? I'm 42 years old. Like, how in the hell did I do that? It's on the back of hard work. I take back and I look at my businesses. I'm like, how in the hell did I do that? Well, it was a 35-year-old me that decided to lean in. That decided to walk in, talk in truths. And that's what you're doing. And it's going to be an amazing ride. Let's go. Good morning. Ever since I have started running with you, all my life has just constantly improved. And I think that's a thing that, I think makes us special, right? You will come out better on the other side. There's no way you can walk through these doors, come into our circle, the massive circle we're building, and come out worse on the other side. If you happen to come out worse, is you never leaned in. You were never part of the tribe to begin with, right? I know all of your lives has improved. And now it's your job to improve yourself and improve others. You and Carla truly impacting generations with everything from your coaching to your challenges. My children will benefit from everything I'm learning and applying. Can't thank you guys enough. Edgar, I'm so happy you leaned in. My brother, I'm so happy. And there was individuals that were constantly on my mind, and I'm like, I hope they do it. I hope they do it, because it brings another level of power. I mean, we have an environment that will help you get what you want, but you got to believe within. You got to feel good within, emotionally, mentally, physically. And I'm so happy those of you that have joined, and those that maybe didn't, but I'm telling you, lean in to the organization here with A's and Associates. But again, everything is for a reason, as cliche as that sounds. Like everything, I started thinking about just our journey and how afraid we were, how broken we were, and how amazing life is today. Like, that's something I had to teach myself and learn. Like, it's okay to feel good all the time. It's okay. My life doesn't have to be chaotic. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be, lacking. I don't have to lack in life. And when you do the work, the lack fades. It fades. Abundance and prosperity start filling that void. So let's continue to do the work. Guys, thank you again for joining me. I know you have a lot to do, but hopefully something inspired you today to keep going, to keep fighting, and not concede. Thank you again for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.